Welcome back. Senate Democrats are pushing forward today with a key procedural vote on the massive $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill, despite not finishing writing of the bill. Republican leadership says they will not sign off until they see what is in this bill and how they plan to pay for it. In order to move the bill forward, Democrats will need to support the support of at least 10 Republicans to reach that key 60-vote threshold. Joining me right now is Florida Congressman, member of the House Budget and Small Business Committees, Byron Donalds. And Congressman, it's always a pleasure. Thanks very much for being here this morning. What do you see happening this morning with this procedural vote? Will the Democrats get the Republican support that they need to move this forward?
I mean, I hope not. What is this, a redo of Obamacare when they didn't tell you what was in the bill? You were voting on things you had no idea what was actually happening. This is a joke. First of all, they've negotiated some broad agreement over $1 trillion. While in the wings is another $3.5 trillion they're trying to push through budget reconciliation. Let's not forget about that. So my hope is that there are not 10 Republicans who will be on board to continue this. This is outrageous, Maria. We already have massive inflation problems in the United States. We've spent trillions of dollars already dealing with COVID-19. We need to actually pump the brakes. Does our country need some infrastructure improvements? Yes, it does. But we can do this in a much more constructive way with a bill that's actually written. Senate Republicans should stop this. They should not even engage in this anymore. This is not going to help our country move forward. It's only going to make our debt and inflation problems worse.
Yeah, and Congressman, then there's the $3.5 trillion package that the Democrats are hoping they can get through reconciliation. But I understand that this weekend they came up with new ideas to jam into that package. They want to put an amnesty component in there. And then Amy Klobuchar said the other day she wants to put voting bills in there as well, a component on voting laws. They're trying to get everything in the kitchen sink into the $3.5 trillion. And President Biden at one point tried to tie the infrastructure and the larger $3.5 trillion, which is going to include sky-high taxes as well.
You're absolutely right. And this is why this vote that's going to happen in the Senate today needs to fail, so the Democrats actually have to go and negotiate with Republicans, both House and Senate, if there's going to be infrastructure package that moves through the United States Capitol and goes to Joe Biden's desk. But the way they're doing this now is only going to set our country up for failure. Here's the question I have for the people watching. What is this going to mean for our contractors who are trying to build homes, build business, whatever they are, when they're trying to get the materials they need, but they're going to be outbid by federal contracts simply because the federal government is dumping more money into our economy, while at the same time people are not back to work because we're paying people to stay home. This makes no sense at all what we're going to do. And then you talk about the $3.5 trillion deal that's out there already that they want to do through budget reconciliation, where they want to put everything they could possibly think of in because they don't have the votes in the Senate to pass it, do a regular policy bill through regular order.
Yeah, I mean, it's just more dirty tricks. Congressman, by the way, let me just tell you that Maya McGuinness and the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget released a new report this weekend, and they say that $3.5 trillion is actually going to cost $5.5 trillion over 10 years. They say that lawmakers are obscuring the true cost of it when you look at what's in it. So I think you're onto something by saying you're not going to agree to anything until you see what's in that infrastructure plan as well. But look, Congressman, I want to move on. I want to get your take on what's going on between the administration, the Democrats, and social media. We know that there was collusion. We know that Mark Zuckerberg was on the email with Dr. Fauci. They were discussing what to put on their so-called information hub and what not to. And now there's this big question about whether or not President Biden meant what he said when he said Facebook is killing people. The president is walking back those comments now, where he originally accused them of killing people for not doing more on COVID misinformation. Congressman, you recently said that big tech censorship is absolutely a First Amendment issue. Why is it that we have to deal with all of this censorship? Why not just report facts as they come in rather than being directed by government and the Democrats?
The problem is that the Democrats don't want anybody else to have the ability to speak. Let's be very clear. If the White House actually thought that it was okay for Americans to speak their mind on a social media platform, which Jen Psaki says is a public platform, you wouldn't have these issues. But they don't want anybody else to be in the public square, so to speak, speaking and putting out information. Whether the White House agrees with it or not, Maria, frankly, whether you and I agree with it or not, Americans have the right under the First Amendment to speak. You cannot have the President of the United States, any member of Congress, any governmental agency basically get in the way of that, try to go through a private company through the back door to squelch that speech. It is almost pretty clear to me that's what the White House has done. What's important for Congress to do now is get the information about when did the White House speak to them, what did they talk about, how frequently were they talking with the social media companies, and what the impacts of that are. This is a serious constitutional issue that Congress has a responsibility to make sure that we investigate, because this is the freedom of speech for the American people. It must never be infringed.
Yeah, but Congressman, you even have the leader of the free world, President Biden, over there spewing out misinformation when it comes to voting laws. He's calling them Jim Crow, which is actually a major bold-faced lie. We know what's in these bills. It's about voter ID. You've got AOC turning everything into a civil rights issue and trying to divide us on race.
You're right. And listen, as ridiculous as Joe Biden's comments has been on voting rights with respect to what's going on in Texas or Georgia or even my home state of Florida, hey, he's free to say what he wants, even if it's stupid. And so I would never stop him from saying it. The key thing is, don't stop the American people from posting what they want to post. If you don't agree with it from the White House, put out your own information. You can do that. Let people decide who they're going to believe. The White House, Facebook, Dr. Fauci, or Citizen X with his own information or her own information. Let people decide that for themselves. It is not the responsibility or the job. Frankly, the government has no authority to start working through social media companies about what's going to be allowed to be out there in the public sphere and what's not going to be allowed in the public sphere. That is censorship. That is a destruction of the First Amendment. It must not stand in the United States.
Well, we're glad you're fighting for it. I mean, the Republicans really don't have much muscle to do anything, being in the minority. But thank you for standing tall on these issues that the American people care about, Congressman. It's good to see you this morning. Thank you, sir.
Of course. Anytime. Thanks, Maria.